20,000 feet above sea level. No trees, no birds, no warmth. Just ice, wind, and silence. This is the highest battlefield on Earth. And the strangest part of this war is not who the enemy is, it's what kills you first. Not a bullet, not a bomb. The cold. For over 4 decades, India and Pakistan have fought and bled over a strip of ice that no one can farm, no one can live on, and almost no one can even survive. This is the story of the Siachen Glacier, the war no one can win. To understand Siachen, you have to go back to 1947, to the partition of British India and the birth of 2 nations locked in an unfinished argument over Kashmir. In 1949, the Karachi Agreement drew a ceasefire line between Indian and Pakistani forces. In 1972, after another war, that line was redrawn and renamed the Line of Control under the Simla Agreement. But both agreements stopped at a single map reference point, NJ9842, and simply wrote, "Thence north to the glaciers." No one specified which glaciers. No one imagined anyone would ever need to. The terrain beyond that point was considered too high, too cold, and too hostile for any army to occupy. They were wrong. Through the 1970s and early 1980s, both India and Pakistan permitted foreign mountaineering expeditions into the Siachen region. And those expedition permits became, in effect, quiet territorial claims. Indian intelligence grew concerned that Pakistan was preparing to occupy the glacier's key passes first, using mountaineering routes as cover for a military move. So, in April 1984, India acted first. In an operation codenamed Meghdoot, Indian troops were airlifted onto the glacier's dominating heights, occupying the strategic Bilafand La and Siala passes before Pakistani forces could reach them. Pakistan responded within days, moving its own forces up from the other side. Neither army could dislodge the other, and so began a standoff that has now lasted more than 40 years. Both nations built permanent posts at altitudes above 18,000 feet, some close to 22,000, supplied entirely by air, since no road could survive the terrain. Here is the number that defines this war. Across 4 decades of confrontation, the vast majority of soldiers who died at Siachen were not killed by enemy fire. They were killed by frostbite, by avalanches, by altitude sickness, by blizzards that could bury an entire post in minutes. At those heights, simply breathing is a battle. Temperatures fall to -50 degrees Celsius. Helicopters strain to fly. Weapons freeze. Skin turns black within moments of exposure. Soldiers on both sides have described the same reality. You don't fight for territory here so much as you fight to stay alive on it. In 2012, an avalanche buried an entire Pakistani battalion headquarters at Gayari, killing over 100 soldiers in seconds, not in combat, but in their sleep. India has faced its own avalanche disasters, including one in 2016 that killed nearly an entire post's worth of soldiers instantly. The glacier does not choose sides. In 2003, India and Pakistan agreed to a ceasefire along the line of control, and it has largely held at Siachen ever since. The guns have mostly gone quiet, but the armies never left. Both nations still maintain thousands of troops on the glacier, at a cost estimated in the millions of dollars every single day, just to keep soldiers alive, fed, and supplied at heights where nothing can grow and nothing can last. Multiple rounds of talks have been held over the decades to demilitarize the glacier. All of them have failed, largely over a single unresolved question. If either army withdraws, who verifies the other side doesn't quietly move back in? Meanwhile, scientists warn that the glacier itself, one of the largest sources of fresh water in the region, is retreating faster than nearby glaciers with no military presence, a slow casualty of the war fought on top of it.
Siachen has no oil, no gold, no fertile land. Nothing grows there. No one has ever lived there by choice. And yet, for over 40 years, two nations have paid an extraordinary price in lives and resources to hold a piece of it. Not because of what it offers, but because of what giving it up might mean. It is, in many ways, the purest version of this rivalry, a war fought not for gain, but for the fear of losing ground to the other. Where every conflict has a cause, every border has a cost, and every war leaves something behind. If you want to understand the wars that shaped South Asia and the world, subscribe to War and Military History. New documentaries every week.